So what is your name and what did you do?
My name's John Dawson and I top 32 YCS Bologna of all things.
And for those who can't tell, what are you playing?
I am playing Fiend Smith Yubel, and the reason I picked this deck was mainly comfort and the fact that I had a lovely friend here who, while I was too busy working to properly test, was able to really help me hash through theory and came up with the majority of the construct for this, and most of the main bulk of the non-engine choices and everything like that, and we ran the 3v3 with two different builds on the day. We sat next to each other, we talked through exactly how both decks were performing, and we both settled on this list, and we both ran it for the main event. I did pretty well with it. Unfortunately, you got a bit sacked.
Yeah, big time.
Fun thing though on that, just before we get into anything, I have been called by on Samsara 6 times this event.
Wow.
I've had that literally every game as well.
This thing has been a magnet for called by, and I do not know how that has happened this many times, and I've still managed to top. But let's get into the profile. So we will start with the main deck. We have the Yubel starters, 3 Samsara, 3 Throne. There's nothing particularly revolutionary about that. There is 3 Beckoning Beast. There were some lists, mainly the one that Pack posted very recently, that were playing 2. However, I think at least in our mind, we kind of thought that we wanted as many starters and as many ways to play in like simplified game states as possible. If we're just going to be throwing hand traps.
Yeah, we found that people won't imperm this or veil this. Whereas the moment you put this on board, they're straight away imperming it. Even if obviously they hit this, you can just recover it, it's going to work. This still gives you the additional normal summon, even if you don't use the effect. So they just want to stop you having bodies on board. We did test 2, but...
This was also like one of the things that was really good in the cash build originally, because you special a cash card and you normal this and then you got body for Fiend Smith line, but it's a little less of an optimal starter in this build, but it's still really, really good.
This also makes Impulse live.
Oh yeah. Then we've got the one opening that you play with that one, and that is it for the normal summons.
How many you
want to see? It's 46.
The confusion on everyone's face when they ask, you say 46.
What deck is this guy playing?
They're trying to figure out what you're playing. You summon Samsara and all of a sudden you just see that face drop.
Yeah, it happens so many times. Pack was like, you're either on Yubel or you're on Memento. And, you know, he got it right. We've got then the Yubel one-offs. We had considered very heavily playing the extra Squirmer. It's a really, really good extender. However, the deck's idea is to play hand traps, see hand traps, hand trap your opponent, play through a weak board, and seeing multiple forms of the same engine over and over again isn't necessarily conducive to your game plan. So we just stuck with the one, considering especially we wanted to maintain having the 2 spirit. I don't know about you, but I found just having an extra one of these names in hand so often to immediately use one of the 0/0 bodies after my first push to make a phantom to push into boards to protect my other plays was phenomenal all day. And
searching this into Tempai when you shifter as well just means you survive the turn.
Oh yeah, and having the ability to just be able to send one while the other one is stuck under Varudra sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, it will stay there.
You had a game where you opened this. So even though it was at 1, you opened it, and was it against Centurion?
It was against my round 9 Centurion matchup. Lovely guy, by the way.
And he threw like 3 hand traps at you, and you managed to go Fiendsmith line. You ended on, I think it was Desiree Rage Phantom, and he just looked at his top deck and went, "Yeah, we'll go next."
Yeah.
Is it the same consensus with Pain? Because I know Tom in particular was on 2 Pain for quite a long time.
I got that from John originally.
Yeah, I had too many instances where I had encountered a player who had made an unaffected Chaos Angel at my locals, and I didn't like having my one Nightmare Pain stuck in the Banish Zone because I had no way to recur it, and so I wanted to have a way to play around that. But for the sake of slimming down the deck, it is just correct to play one. The amount of situations where it was unrecoverable were so minimal. I think it happened once the entire of the event, and then the rest of the time it got destroyed by something, and I was able to recur it off of opening.
I found a lot of Nightmare Phoenix.
Yeah, a lot of Nightmare Phoenix. Very rarely did it get hit by the SP. which was interesting. But I think a lot of people wanted to be able to kill me then and there because they knew that if they gave me another 10, there's every chance I'd just come back and I'd kill them in the next one.
Plus, a lot of people don't respect the opening of spirit gates.
Oh no.
So you just stick a name on board, bring back the pain, activate it, and just punch.
You gotta love the secret hidden effects of cards.
Yeah.
Then we have the other really good engine in this deck. We have the Fiendsmith cards. We're playing 2 tracked. This was something I was insistent on for a long time because I just loved having access to a non-normal summon reliant playstarter that also acted as an extender, and especially considering that there was so much droll in the format, just seeing this first to droll check and still be able to play was way better than leading with Engraver into droll. And the amount of times where it's come up where somebody has not respected the fact that I've got another Engraver that they've known about, that I've managed to recur off of the Popping of Rage.
Yeah.
After I've already gone through the track line, searched another one, and they've gone, oh, this was not a line of play I was expecting, and so I was able to push through far more boards that way.
Well, you're always shuffling this back with this anyway.
Yeah, so it makes it live.
When you've added this back for your follow-up, most people believe you're only playing the one. Obviously, it then gives you an extra option to side out, so it makes it easier.
Yeah, siding patterns are much easier too.
You grab it gives you another 2 bodies, so if you do have to recycle your Desiree, you can get it popped and re-establish it.
Also, the real fun...
That came up a lot.
The real fun bit of being able to just banish it and fuse and hard make a Desiree, it really scared some people. I did it twice, and it was hilarious seeing people freak out when the Desiree's on board. And then I think that turn I hadn't even made the Requiem yet, so I just linked it off into a Requiem, sent one of the bodies, broke his board, and then used the Requiem to continue and just start pushing through.
It's really good.
I had something similar. So I used Track to make Desiree, made the sequence, made an Aerial Eater, linked them both off into Yama, and then equipped, managed to get Samsara to grave, brought it back out. So I'd already established protection for Spirit.
Yeah, it's like the entirety of the engines in it have been great all week. I don't think I'd have wanted to play anything else. And the other choice that we made, which for some might have been controversial, not a lot of people were playing Chamber going into this event. I think Escape is better. It's so good into Deception. It is so good into how resource intensive Snake Eye pushes are. Deception having to tribute a monster, Witch having to send something. Just means that you're able to out-card advantage them really, really quickly because you lose nothing off that interaction and they lose 2 cards. It's fantastic. And then the good old Doggy Boy, the one-off that sometimes just saves you through Impum.
It also helps if your opponent tries to just like negate your entire board. Like somebody tried to Dark Roll me, so obviously that helps you use the Desiree to negate it. But you still have every interaction on the board by the Desiree. It's
nice to be able to hold if somebody is on breakers and just go like, yeah, you can continue to play, and then I can escape, pop my my rage, pop your cards, Yama, pop my own Varudras, pop something else, and then you've added the Shavara back, and if you really wanted to, you can pop a Desiree, send something else.
So many layers.
It's really good into back row decks, and my Rescue Ace matchup, lovely person, told me at the end they didn't think Escape was correct, but did win me that matchup, so you know what, I will take it. I do not like having to deal with that. The power one of spells. I saw this less in 46 than I did in 50. I don't know what it was about the 50 card build, but I seemed to open Cold by every other hand.
Whenever we tested, you had this every hand. It's ridiculous.
It was funny. 1 for 1 was very, very funny. It was one of the weaker styles because, of course, the amount of cards that you have to commit to use it, especially into a metagame where there are things like Dominance Impulse and Caesars going around.
And people main decking for Willis.
Oh yeah, that's definitely also one. You start with this and you're giving them 3 draws to just end on a Phantom, which is not good. However, we make it work. Then the part of the deck that was just about making sure that your opponent doesn't play the game so that you can.
So I think the interesting one is either Mono or Ghost Ogre, but I know that you have a big theory with drawing on your own turn.
Yeah, offensive and defensive.
Like, you can, starting with Samsara, get through your whole Yubel combo. You will end on a non-omni negate board. It is not super powerful, but you can give 2 draws to end on Rage, Escape, Phantom, the Muckraker with a Samsara, or alternatively you can send the Muckraker, you can end on a Yubel as well.
Didn't you do it in one of your later matches where with the Lurie line, he had to draw after Molchami and you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did end up doing that one. Essentially, my top 64 match, my opponent Perulia'd me, and I went, cool, I don't need to normal summon. I looked at the Ash Blossom in my hand and went, this is fine. I sent something to grave, summoned out a Yubel, activated Tract, looked him dead in the eye and said, I have combo without giving you a single draw of Perolia. So he looked at his hand and went, this is bad, and trolled me on resolution, at which point I started normal summoning again and was able to...
It was. We watched that match, and that was just insane how you thought about that.
I set up the whole board. I ended up with I think it was Desiree Rage, Escape, and Phantom, which I was able to go through because I was able to use the Phantom against a Veiler that they used on me to dump the Spirit so that I could use Aerial Eater to send Shavara to the graveyard and set the trap. And the icing on the cake there was Escape, pop the Deception, wanted last card in hand, and I ash it. Maybe a bit mean, but it just felt that it clarified that the game was over. I had control. The Ogres and the Mourners.
And the lack of Molchamis in Maine.
The lack of Molchamis in Maine.
No Molchamis.
The Ogres and the Mourners were mostly theory we picked up from Pack's list.
Yeah, this has got 2 things against it. So you want as many effect negations. We expected a lot of Snake Eye. So the moment they special Witch, you can use this. You still got a Veiler for whatever they normal summon or an Imperm for whatever they normal summon.
It has been great against Witch the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
It's also been really good to hit large bodies when you know your opponent's going to have to play, because it just means your OTK lines are so much simpler.
Yes.
The Ogre has been great against Deception, it's been great against Centurion, and it has just generally been an interesting card to help break boards, to either Ogre a Desiree or Ogre a IP, and that has massively helped. The amount of times that I have Ogred an SP as I have normal summoned into it to stop them from clearing my board and they've just scooped has been surprisingly alarming. I did it twice in the same match and that was a 2-0. I do feel a little sorry for that.
The Mourners have got another application as well. So a lot of people were playing Metal Tronus to summon this into Tempai when you're going second. But if you play this, the moment they summon the Drago, you can just Mourner it, and then you're just free to play.
It just gives you a little bit of protection around it. It's not something I really had to consider too much because I played one Tempai in round 1 and I never saw it again the entire event, which was lovely. I just mostly played Snake Eyes and other decks.
Shout out terrible conversion rate.
Then we have the extra deck. We have the 3 Fiendsmith links you play, the 2 actual Fiendsmith links and the honorary bridge, the moon. We have the Unchained cards, the 2 Yama and the Rage. Just absolutely fantastic. I have absolutely loved running these. The amount of times that Yama has come up in situations that were not Escape to help me just play through has been insane.
I saw one of your games, I think it was round 11. You made Yama and your opponent was forced to imperm it, which then saved your spirit from getting impermed.
And I think there was another game where I got Mourned on sequence. I linked it off. I popped a spirit further down the line and Yama reborn the sequence to make Desiree, which was really fun. Then we have the utility links and SP.
Cross Sheep.
Yeah, this is the controversial one.
Cross Sheep is fantastic, mostly in conjunction with this card. You can get through lines off an engraver where you can end up with 2 engravers, banish them, summon this back to a Cross Sheep zone to reborn your Samsara and end on Rage, Varudress, Escape and Phantom. It's just something that makes the combo more powerful if the only starter that you have is Engraver. It also has just been really good in grind games to reborn extra bodies just essentially for free when you're linking off materials to make a Phantom. You make a Cross Sheep, you reborn a Phantom, you shuffle into a Phantom, reborn something from the Cross Sheep, and then just start playing again.
Didn't you do that with the Lurie?
I did do that with the Lurie. And then I used it to make Sequence and to Requiem, and then I used it to make Fiend Smith combo, which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, because you summon the Phantom to design, summon the Lurie, and because it's straight under it, you then got the Think
I think that was because I got my my Lurie impulsed that game. I think that's why it was in the graveyard. Then we have, obviously, the fusions. Shout out Phantom von Yubel.
Yes.
The best Yubel.
I liked I like the idea of playing a third Yubel, but did not bring my third one with me. So I did a quick run around the vendors on Friday and found the cheapest one that also happened to have a name that I really liked, Phantom von Yubel.
Well, we decided on this on a Friday.
Yeah, it was the decision that we made there, but I prepped it just in case when I went into the vendors because I was umming and ahhing over it. We decided that the spot that it would take over would sort of replace Caesar. I have not missed Caesar the entire event. There are no situations where I think I would have made it, where I thought it would have changed any game. So it just felt reasonable to play an extra Phantom, which gave me comfort to be able to link off a Phantom just as an extender to know that I had another to fall back on.
We also expected a lot of talents. So if you Caesar negate something, the talents take.
And then
when you
Caesar.
Phantom negate, you try to summon. You've lost your win con of them punching into your Yubels because they just go out negate, and then you're forced to use one of your other interactions.
And then just don't want to for address. Love this guy. He's very good.
Good guy.
A lot of people don't realise that it pops in damage step.
Yeah.
So you go declare an attack, damage step, and they try and respond. And
I used that once. It was against Pack. It did not change the game state. It was nice to know that I used it.
Yeah.
Then where you asked are the Charmies, they're in the side deck.
Now both as well.
It was just for full-on match coverage. If I know what deck I'm going into, I know which Charmies hit it best. If I know I'm playing into something like my round 2 Voices Voice, I'm not signing this in, I'm just signing this in. And it meant that if I'm going first or second, there are no dead cards in my hand if I have them in the side, whereas I can target them for specifically the matchups I want to play in.
We originally didn't have the full losses in the side as well.
No, there were nibs, but I think we both decided by the end of the 3v3 that like nib we were unsure going in, and by the end of it all, it just felt unimpactful.
Yeah.
This guy, for basically insurance, didn't need it, so he goes back over there.
He can also summon Lurie from hand.
Yeah.
So it gives you additional bodies.
I mean, he can summon a Samsara as well, it's really fun.
Yeah.
2 talents, 3 cosmic, and 3 dim barrier. These were just generally good, solid utility cards. Occasionally breaker. Mostly I sided in going first. These 5 cards into a lot of my Snake Eye and Fire King matchups, just because being able to Cosmic a Deception and prevent the grind from that is great, and just being able to look at somebody's hand and shuffle back a card is broken. So I don't think anyone's disputing the fact that Talents is a good card. Yeah. This was really, really funny in my top 64 game 2, where I decided I would full commit into a Perulia. I made Rage, no, it wasn't even a Perulia, it was a Frulos. I full committed into a Frulos through like 3 hand traps, made Rage Phantom. And then at the end of it all, just went, I'm going to Talents look at your hand so I know what to hit. Shuffled back a Unicorn, was like, I'm leaving the berth for you, go. And just basically played around that. And that was just having the knowledge and knowing where to use my interactions was solid.
I suppose, not very standard, but were you ever at one point considering the Anguish into either access code or the other Unchained Link 4?
We did for a time. The amount of times, even when I was actively playing it, that it became a necessity to break boards was limited. I think I summoned it properly twice the span of about 2 months that I was playing the card. Maybe I just wasn't playing the lines correctly, but it wasn't coming up. It was just not a necessary card to have, and it was taking up space, and we decided that it was not worth it.
When we eventually fought Kine, I said to you, if you have to make those cards, the board wasn't strong enough anyway.
And you're probably already in a winning position if you can get that many bodies on board.
You probably noticed there's no thrust in there as well, and no DDG.
It just felt better to have the 3 of cards if I was ever in a game where I'm relying on my opponent to activate a hand trap and they don't, or they just impulse or imperm me, and I'm just sat there with a thrust in my hand being like, well, I wish this was something else.
I remember testing against Spike.
Hello.
And
shout out Spiky Goo.
Shout out Spiky Goo. I was testing the thrust package, and I would get impulsed, impermed. So I'm holding 2 thrusts that are just doing nothing, which could have been something better like talents or something like that.
Shout out non-monster hand trap.
It's definitely becoming a lot more popular. I got purged several times this event, which was not something I was expecting.
That card's been insane.
It was. It was not something that was on my radar. It was very, very good and very, very cool to see it in action.
Question. You mentioned the Red Resonator. Was there anything you would change in the list at all?
No, I think I like having it there just in case. It's something that never ever came in, but knowing that sometimes formats like this can get very grindy and go very, very late, it is something that I just like having in the extra deck.
It's got multiple uses, so it's not too bad to have.
Yeah.
And one more thing before we move on to shout-outs. Did you feel like at any point people were a little bit unprepared for Yubel because of the presence of Furlock?
I had several people actively tell me they weren't prepared for Yubel. I had somebody show me their side deck and went, I have no cards for you. Which was
it in that accent as well?
I have no idea. I'm just as surprised as you are where that came from. It was interesting. It was something that I think did catch a few people off guard.
Yeah.
The amount of games where game 1 I just played Fiend Smith cards.
Yeah.
Up until a point where I cracked a board and then summoned a Samsara and people go, nope.
What the?
And
Literally.
I've had several people scoop at the normal sum of a Samsara, and I guess people just had forgotten how terrifying this deck was. I think the general consensus, at least as far as my understanding, is people are playing the Charmies a little bit more towards the side deck because they expect people to respect them just by the nature of them existing.
Which is the theory why we put them all on the side as well.
And that means that Yubel gets a little bit of a pass game 1 if they go win the dice roll. Not against everyone. Everyone has their own different theories, but it just felt like that was the case more often than not in my run.
Now, any shout-outs?
Shout-outs to Team Burger. Thank you very much. Sorry you couldn't make it, Josh. It was nice to have a holiday, but sorry that you weren't here with it. Shout out to Brotherhood Games, my lovely locals. Shout out to all of the lads that once again came on this trip with me. And honestly, shout out to every single opponent that I had this weekend. You were all lovely and it made the event so much better.
Shout out to the Flamingo t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
And the jumper, Tom's jumper as well.
And the beanie.
And
the buzzcut.
Buzzcut. No. When I talk.
See you, folks.
Jake Ray got a Yu-Gi-Oh!